More people than homes? Find out how much you need to make to afford rent in Columbus and how many homes Columbus needs to add in the next decade. We're breaking it all down ahead. Plus,
yes, it's about keeping us relevant.
Up, up, and away. Upper Arlington's skyline reaching new heights, but not everyone's looking up with a smile. Why leaders say the city must get taller and not wider as more people move in. Plus, a quiet corner of Delaware County is about to get a whole lot louder. We're talking retail, restaurants, hotels, and homes, how this new community could transform a small city. And Central Ohio is booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. Whether it's traffic, new homes, crowded schools, leaders in this region will have to figure out how to embrace 1 million more people in the coming decade. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Colin Dorsey in for Angela Ann this week. Well, let's start with some headlines. This week, Whitehall City Council tabled discussions about a controversial development proposal. It's called Fairway Cliffs, and the plan calls for nearly 50 new homes along Fairway Boulevard, priced between $350,000 and $400,000. It was originally set for discussion this week, and several community members showed up to a council meeting and spoke out against that development. Council delayed its vote, and the proposal will again be discussed April 15th. Well, Grove City could soon be home to a new marijuana dispensary. This week, City Council members held their first read on a special use permit for Ohio Cannabis Company. Now, if approved, the dispensary would be located on Stringtown Road at the current China Bell restaurant location. If you remember, Grove City was one of Columbus's first suburbs to propose banning recreational marijuana. That attempt narrowly failed when it came to a vote. Well, over in Delaware, the Planning Commission just approved a new marijuana dispensary at the corner of Hawthorne Boulevard and US 23. The Michigan-based company Hempnotize is looking to sell recreational and medical marijuana on that site. The City Council is expected to discuss the dispensary at a future meeting. Well, then, over in Sunbury, some big renovations are coming to a community staple. These are new renderings that show changes that were approved by City Council this week for J.R. Smith Park. It includes a new shelter and splash pad. Plans for the shelter include an open pavilion, restrooms, and storage space. We're told the entire budget for that project, more than $300,000. Well, this week, the Columbus Realtors Association released its Central Ohio Housing Report for February. Needless to say, there's some interesting trends. Here's what it found. Sales were up last month with nearly 2,000 homes sold. Home prices also continue to rise. The median home price now a little more than $310,000. But there's some good news for buyers. More homes are available, but here's the catch. Well, they still sell pretty quickly. They say on the market for an average just 26 days. And then finally, mortgage rates are holding steady around 7%, which could impact your decision if you're looking to buy. Well, this week, the 2024 U.S. Census report was released, and the data shows just how fast Central Ohio is growing. Right now, Columbus has a growth rate of 1.38%. That means we grew faster than Denver, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. The National Low Income Coalition says to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in Columbus, a person would need to make at least $25 an hour. And experts say if we don't build more homes, prices will just continue to climb. 10 TV's Kevin Landers went to Grove City to find out how the growth is raising some concerns about affordability.
Too much demand for housing and not enough supply is driving up the cost to own and rent.
I work a decent job and I feel like I still live paycheck to paycheck.
Rent goes up $150 a year. Parking lot, my parking garage was $50, now it's $150 a month.
I think something needs to be done about how expensive rent is.
Housing costs are tied to a lack of supply, but there's something else at play, according to Kenny McDonald, CEO of One Columbus.
With interest rates where they are and really the low mortgage rates that so many people have, that is sort of depressing mobility of people, that people are staying in their houses longer.
Studies show Columbus needs to build between 14,000 to 19,000 new housing units a year to meet the housing demand in the next decade. That's double what's happening now.
We pride ourselves on being an affordable place to live, to work, to play, and housing is probably the biggest part of that monthly bill. And we got to take care of that and have an adequate supply.
According to the census numbers released Monday, at the end of 2024, the Columbus region had more than 2.2 million people and added more than 30,000 residents. The question for city leaders, how does the city grow and keep housing affordable?
Quite frankly, it's a supply problem. And we need not just single-family homes, but we need multifamily places to live as well all over our region for working families. And we're going to have to back that up with the building of schools and roads and bridges and all kinds of things that go with it.
Without that supply, the cost of rent and home ownership will only go up. And for those struggling with their rent, that's not good news.
It is pretty expensive, definitely hard trying to survive.
All right, Kevin, thanks. Now, over the next decade, it's expected Columbus will add between 145,000 to 202,000 jobs. And this week, a new study found Ohio has the 10th best highways in the nation when it comes to cost effectiveness and condition. Now, that's according to the Reason Foundation. The data was from 2022, but despite that high ranking, the study found the pavement conditions of our interstates within Ohio cities could improve. That's with roughly 4% of roads in poor condition. Plus, this week, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission announced it's distributing more than $52 million in federal funding for local infrastructure projects. The funds will go towards 7 projects ranging from bus rapid transit to new bridges over highways. 5 projects are in Columbus. The others are in Dublin and Grove City. And on the topic of infrastructure, many major roads in central Ohio are becoming too small and too crowded, making your commute even longer. And it's something the state is working to try to fix. This week, 10 TV's Amy Steigerwald looked at some of the most congested areas across the metro and the solutions that are in the works. And this is what she found.
We're going to want to shut it down at 6.
Okay. A scary situation unfolding earlier this year along US 23 in Delaware County.
Are you involved in the crash or witness?
Deputies responded to an 8-car pileup after a driver failed to yield while turning left and ended up in an apartment complex parking lot. The damage from that wreck not only totaled multiple cars, but knocked out power for hundreds of people. Believe it or not, this isn't a first along that road.
Off and on, I've been at this post for over 16 years. Yes, just in my time frame there, the volume of traffic on US 23 is just continuous to increase.
Lieutenant Robert Curry with the Delaware County Sheriff's Office says traffic is especially bad on 23, closer to 270. It's one of the many spots flagged by the Ohio Department of Transportation for high congestion and increasing traffic. Other areas flagged across the metro: I-270 from US 33 to US 23 near Dublin, and US 33 on the southeast side.
Most of these congestion risks exist today and are expected to worsen by 2055.
Drivers like Adrian Kramer-Winkler from Delaware are feeling the growing pains of central Ohio in their daily commute.
So I've lived off 23 since I was 3.
Along US 23, Adrian has experienced everything from stop-and-go traffic to being stuck in a jam because of a crash.
I think the major thing is, people pull out of their housing community at 20 miles per hour in front of a heavy semi that's going 55.
Now, one of the biggest causes for congestion and other crashes along 23 are really the number of traffic lights that drivers encounter as you get closer to the 270 outer belt.
Waiting at a green light, but looking at the light ahead, there's just so much traffic, it's red, so I just have to sit at the green light and stare and can't go.
Eliminating traffic lights and certain left turn options are among the recommendations from ODOT for 23 between Waldo and I-270. Another trouble spot, 33 on the southeast side. Officials there are working out the best way to widen 33 from Franklin County into Fairfield County to reduce congestion. Regardless of where it is, drivers agree the lack of space and additional traffic is only getting worse.
We're growing. So, that resource is constrained enough. Unless you can make more pavement and more resources, we're not going to be able to utilize that for future growth.
And now it's up to transportation leaders to put the plans into gear. Reporting in Delaware County, I'm Amy Stuggerwald, 10 TV News.
So, how do you grow when space is so limited to do so? That's the question one Central Ohio community is grappling with as more people look for a place to live. This week, I talked with the Upper Arlington city manager about a possible solution, and here's what I uncovered.
Yes, it's about keeping us relevant.
Bordered on all sides by the city of Columbus, Upper Arlington is out of space to grow out, so it's growing up.
When do you go up? It's also about where do you go up. So sometimes it makes sense to look at a major corridor or a shopping center that needs to evolve. Those are the places where it makes sense.
Even the sign on the new community center is running upward. Upper Arlington city manager Steve Shoney says it's a good example of maximizing the space the city has.
That was the men's shoe department at a vacant, abandoned Lazarus store, right there. It was a big blue box surrounded by a sea of parking.
The finishing touches are being put on now, and city offices are moving in. Set to open in early April. A pool, basketball courts, a running track, and more stacked into this multi-level building. Jim and Joyce McCarthy have lived in and around Upper Arlington for the better part of 50 years and have watched the city grow up around them.
Some of it's been good, but it seems a little congested now with all the tall buildings.
It's positive. I like change.
Shoney says the city will update its master plan to see how it can continue to grow and offer a place for people to live and play. Like the developments along Lane Avenue. One area of potential focus, the northern boundary along Henderson Road.
It's looking for those places where evolution and transformation makes sense. It doesn't make sense everywhere, and you've got to be really purposeful about it.
And while Upper Arlington can only grow up, in Sunbury, they're only getting wider. This week, Sunbury greenlit a 115-acre development that's set to bring hundreds of apartments into the area. The development will also feature retail, restaurants, and hotels. Right now, it's just farmland, but in a few years, it will be transformed into what the developer says, its own community inside a community. 10 TV's Tara Jabor went to Sunbury to see how locals are reacting to that.
115 acres of farmland will be undergoing major construction starting in June.
It's a 115-acre mixed-use development. We're going to have about a little over half of that is going to be new commercial development. So imagine new hotels, retail, restaurants.
We know Delaware County is booming. Wilcox says his group wanted to be a part of that growth and fulfill the need for more housing.
It's a really nice community. It has a charming, historic downtown.
Wilcox calls the future development a community inside a community. The whole area will be walkable and connected to create that community feeling.
Have you guys already started trying to attract like businesses and medical offices, or is that something that will come later?
So we've had a lot of early interest from a hotel group, actually two different hotel groups, assisted living, traditional retail, restaurant.
We went to the city square to see what people think about the growth of Sunbury. Some people who didn't go on camera told us that they weren't a fan of the growth because they moved to the country to be in the country. Others, like Dixie Lundquist, told us they're more optimistic.
Growth can be good. I hope that they can handle all the growth.
Dixie and her husband opened Kenzie's Candy and Sweets in the square. She says she hopes the city can keep its small town charm.
So many people can walk here. They walk, they drive their golf cart uptown.
She says the growth is inevitable, but as long as it's done slowly, then she thinks people will support the change.
There's going to be a lot of adjustment, but I think it'll be good for the town.
Wilcox says they're excited to be a part of Delaware County. They know in the next few years, the area will boom in growth.
If you fast forward a few years, this whole area is going to be transformed, and there's going to be a ton of economic development.
And that was 10 TV's Tara Jabor reporting. Wilcox says they hope to have that project done in just a few years. Also in Delaware County, the city of Powell wants your feedback on a major project. This week, city leaders moved forward with the Village Green Master Plan. It would bring new developments to the area downtown outlined there in blue. You can share your thoughts through a survey that we've posted on our website, 10tv.com/featured links. And this week, we received a question from a viewer who wants to know who they can contact to get into affordable housing being built in Lancaster. So we checked, and this is what we found. We talked with a representative from LDG Development. They told us construction for Emerald Place just started, and it's too soon to apply. Right now, they're at least 18 to 20 months away for applications. Typically, they start pre-leasing activity about 90 days before. And remember, we do want to hear from you. And if you have questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth, or maybe you want us to look into something for you, you can text us your questions and concerns to that number there, 614-460-3345. And if you want to watch more Boomtown content, we also have our 10 TV Plus original, Welcome to Boomtown. You'll see how our stories seek solutions for everyone in Central Ohio. Thanks for joining us on This Week in Boomtown. I'm Colin Dorsey.